you feel free. It's a beautiful day to heal thyself. A beautiful day to feel thyself. Hang out with Dr. G, sip matcha with Emily. Find your inner peace on a That's us on the Kitchen Catch Up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kitchen Catch Up. We are so excited. We got our theme song. Thank you, AI. Thank you, everyone, for joining Kitchen Catch Up. We are back after a 1-week break. You know, I was in Miami, Emily.
I do know you were in Miami. I was in Miami with you for the weekend.
You were in Miami too. That's right. And then I went over to Connecticut, and what a break! I needed a break. You know,
a break after you did an event in Miami first.
That's right. We want to talk about the event. We want to talk about. I want to know where everyone is living right now. Where have they found where is the best place for the nervous system? Because my nervous system when I was in Connecticut, over in Westport, was so quiet, turned off. We had the water. I didn't have to do much. We went on nice little walks. My nervous system came back online. Miami's great though.
Miami is great. And I feel like there's elements of Miami where it can be a reset for your nervous system, and then there's elements of Miami where it is the opposite. Yeah.
Day one, here I am. I'm like we're walking on this path, my partner and I, and we end up in South Beach during spring break. And they have like
we accidentally were there during spring break.
Yeah, we were there during spring break. They had the police gates. And holy moly, it was like 12 o'clock, and it was a huge party, packed. There was so many people, loud sounds, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, there's honks, and I actually began to have anxiety. And I'm not an anxious person, and it started overwhelming me. Then my partner recognized it, and we sat on the grass, and she's like, let's breathe. And I came back into my body because I can't imagine being around that energy all the time. And as much as I love New York, it's not much different. It's chaotic.
Yeah.
Shout out to people in New York, but like, holy moly, for sensitive nervous systems is way too much. How did you find your way in Miami?
I loved it. I stayed with our amazing friend Nini, who was the sound healer at the event and DJ. She brought sound in two ways. And so I stayed with her, and she lives in Coral Gables. So that's a little bit outside of Miami. We went to yoga. We went to the farmer's market. So it was definitely replenishing for the nervous system.
Let's talk about the Miami water. How many followers have been over to the Miami water? I want to know, have you dipped your feet in the heavenly waters of Caribbean Miami energy? Because my God, I don't go into the ocean here in California much.
And I mean, right now, we're not supposed to, with the fires and
mudslides and all that debris going. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I go into Miami waters, and it was healing water. There was no
it's
giant
so
waves.
Clear. It's warm.
I saw a manta ray come past me.
Wow.
I said, this is true living. I'll tell you, if I lived there, I would go straight to the beach every single day.
Yeah,
that's a beach I want to be on.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did our healing event. Fantastic results. People going through deep emotional processes, community driven. So it was really fulfilling. But it got me thinking, where is the place in America where there's things to do? There's things to do. We have access to things, but we have nervous system grounding and regulation first and foremost. And I don't know if I could figure it out, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
You know, I want both. I feel pretty grounded here, but I still feel like I wish I was on top of a mountain. I could just come down the mountain and then go to the...
And that's what's so beautiful about California is that I think you can do that. Like I think for a bit you went and lived in Ojai. And so there are these places that are very near to us that you can get that escape. Like a lot of us will do it in Joshua Tree. But as much as LA is like a wellness center and a lot of people are thinking about it and prioritizing it, it's also a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are moving really quickly. And it can be like a lot of that kind of comparison and a little bit of hustle, not like New York hustle, like a different energy, but you can definitely fall into those patterns. I'm from San Diego. San Diego is definitely healing for the nervous system and slower. Maybe Hawaii, But I don't. But does that go too far? Could I live in Hawaii long term, or would I kind of get too complacent? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that energy here. There's a lot of like entrepreneurial push energy, which is great because if you want to create something, you put in a tornado here and it's going to be created, and you got to balance it out. But again, has anyone? I want to know. Don't gatekeep now.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Let us know where we
where
gotta
are
go.
the places that have the perfect balance of nature, art, culture, and
You know what I'd probably say is I can imagine out of the country. Like I can imagine there are some places in Europe that have a lot of that, or like Costa Rica. But again, it's like, is that the San Diego where you're kind of then too on that side of the spectrum? But I've heard like Portugal has a lot of art, but then also beaches and city and
Well, I'm not gatekeeping. I found something.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I found something. I did a little bit of research at the airport when we were delayed. I had my feet up and I go, I'm gonna find the Utopia. Apparently there's this place in Georgia and it's called Serenbe, Serenity and Bee. And in 1991, this really rich entrepreneurial man decided, I want to create a little community. And it was a small little community. He bought a bunch of land and started building houses and like creating community and agriculture and connection, art. And then it's since expanded. His daughter became the CEO. And now they have this lush community. It's growing. I think it's 1,000 people live there. And the community is divided in these things called hamlets. And each four of the hamlets represent what they value the most: education, agriculture, art, and health and wellness.
Wow.
And within these hamlets, there's like health and wellness will have yoga studios. That's where the farmer's market is, or the agriculture one. Yeah. There's a giant farm. And check this out. You can walk everywhere within 20 to 30 minutes. And
so they even have cars?
Like you don't really need one because everything's tree lined. There's one big path that connects all behind the back of the houses, and it's massive tree lined, and you can just eat blueberries off of these shrubs and trees.
That's amazing.
And it's mind blowing to me that like, why haven't I heard of this? But
I was going to say the same thing. And was it Google that told you or ChatGPT?
It was, well, actually, I actually heard about it right before my trip.
Wow.
I was listening to Otis Redding.
Okay.
And you know that song, Sitting on the Dock, right? And at one point he goes, I left my home in Georgia. Yeah. And I said, Georgia, that sounds nice to me. And then I started researching where Otis Redding was from. Yeah. But then I said health and wellness in Georgia, and then it led me there.
Wow.
So I've been looking at this place, and guess what? I'm going to go visit it. I'm going to go visit it and see what the hell they're doing over there. Because when I saw the trailer video, and everyone right now don't go right now because this is a good live we're doing.
Yeah.
But after the live, go look at Serenbe on YouTube, and it's an incredible trailer video. And this guy actually has the energy of like community and connection. Last part. Here we are in the car with my girlfriend's parents, and my intuition says, don't mention this, don't mention this. And then later, don't mention this. So the third time I was like, I'm going to mention it. So I mentioned it and I started talking about this Georgia place that I found. Yeah. Lo and behold, I made it sound like a damn cult.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was like, no, everyone like loves each other and it's a community. Yeah. And like one guy founded it and he's amazing. And I was like really going. Yeah. They were asking me these questions. They're like, interesting, Christian. So I really threw myself out there. But anyway, look it up. It's really cool. I made a little almond matcha for you, almond matcha tea. Yeah. And I want everyone to know we have a very special segment coming up. We have the founders of Personal Fave. Do you know what Personal Fave is? I don't think you know. Before I give you this matcha, look. You know how nasty KY jelly is for you? Do you know how nasty people who are using KY jelly, and that's all up. You go to Target, you go to Walmart, CVS. It's so popular. It's been around since I was a kid. Well, guess what? Now they have proper, clean alternatives to it with the most amazing branding. They have an oil base, they have a water base, they have these awesome intimate wipes. This is like, we got to up level sex and sexuality, and this company is doing it. We're going to get them on in a moment as I give you this matcha tea.
Thank you.
This is almond matcha tea from that brand, Magic
Magic Hour. So
Magic
this is
Hour.
crazy.
Yeah, tell me about
Christian
it.
also made me a tea from Magic Hour last week or 2 weeks ago because we skipped last week, and it was their rosé all day. It was like a fruity pink tea that was delicious. And I had texted a friend of mine who works in PR right before we started the live show. I go to check my phone after the live show, and I was asking her for brand recommendations that would align with another client. And she sent me the one recommendation, Magic Hour.
Magic Hour.
And I was like, that's magic. I was drinking that tea while you texted me about that brand. And she was like, honestly, I'm not surprised. That type of stuff happens with this tea.
Let me tell you something. Had we got sponsored by that, that's the best damn ad I've ever heard. That is the most organic ad we've ever heard. And this is like the third time we're drinking their tea. You know, at some Magic Hour, you need to, somebody please sponsor us. Because
something else that's a little magic. So Chasing Sunrise here, who's in the comments, they were the first person to comment. And I noticed their comment, went back, we were talking about, places that heal your nervous system. And I mentioned Portugal. And then Chasing Sunrises just said, I live in Portugal.
Portugal's so beautiful.
More magic.
So beautiful. And that's where I learned somatics.
Wow.
That's where I learned initially in Portugal. So that was really amazing stuff. Yeah, I want to learn from the audience. Now, don't Kate, we're sharing. I shared my little one over here in Atlanta or in Georgia. I want to know, where are people finding the best balance?
Someone said Switzerland. I've heard amazing things about Switzerland. Have you been to Switzerland?
No, I want to go there so bad. I want to go to Switzerland bad.
Michigan.
Where in Michigan?
I know. Where in Michigan?
I want to know.
Michigan.
Yeah, we got to know. By the lakes, I'm assuming.
South Texas Ranch. Large blue sky, animals, all nature sounds, lots of stars at night, not too far from Austin, Texas, or the Gulf.
I like that. I want to be around animals. A lot of animals. Like, I'm telling you, when I'm around animals, my nervous system is, oh my God, perfect.
Well, I really think it, like, at more than just a psychological level, like at a chemical level, we are grounded and we're reminded that all of these problems that are like very human problems of the ego, those kind of start to fall away and it happens when you ground, like when you go put your feet on the ground, when you look out at nature, when you connect with animals, because we realize that we're so much more than just these problems that we're dealing with every day, and so much more than our stress and our anxiety.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I love that. So with that said, we have React videos that we're going to do later. Emily, I want to know more places that people are putting in the comments, because we really want to bring it out there. I know if you live there, you might want an influx of people coming, but the show's just starting, so.
I know Serenbe is about to.
I know. I just gatekeep. That was my little secret paradise, but I got to share it with the people. We deserve community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And community is more than just like, I'm going to go to my friend's house or we're going to go out to eat, the 5 of us. It's really like that sense of like this whole area. I know who lives there. I know who lives there. I know who lives there. And I go on walks with her and we go to the farmer's market together. Like, that's really what we need.
Yeah, especially with the big loneliness and isolation problem that there is. I'm curious if Serenbe if they're going to do more research on it and if it would ever like meet the criteria of being a blue zone.
It might.
Because with the agriculture community.
Yeah, it's so new. But if the elderly live up to past 100, then now we're talking about something. And really, yeah. All right. Let's get the founders of Personal Fave on the show. So I found out about Personal Fave when I did the Mudwater event with Sex and Emily, and it was wonderful. These two founders who are shortly going to come on in a moment, we were talking about how it started, how passionate they were, and for you, right? Like, I was thinking to myself, and what is one of the best questions that I can ask so you all can understand how important this is. I'm going to have them answer, but my question to them when I first met them is, well, do people need this? Why do we need this? And they answered it so eloquently. And before they leave, you're going to be like, okay, hold on. I think I need this next to my bed right there near the headboard. Come on in. The favorites. Hello, Personal Faves, my personal favorites. Hello, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Hutton. I'm one of the founders of Personal Fave, and it's an honor to be on the kitchen catch-up.
Your kitchen
today.
catch-up.
Yes. Hi, Stephanie. Nice to meet you guys.
Amazing. Okay. So is KY good?
Absolutely not.
Okay. That's how I wanted to start.
I'm not here to cast a shadow, but
Uh-huh.
rather shine a light.
I am. I want to know.
Okay, cast the shadow. Let's go. Let's
KY
spill the
this?
tea. It's that. Endocrine disruptors, phthalates, parabens,
Mm.
all these nasty ingredients that are touching the most precious parts of our body. And we're, now everyone is aware we're eating clean food, clean makeup, clean lotions. Like, shouldn't we hold what touches downstairs to the same standard? Which is why making this was huge for us. And I'll let Stephanie talk further, but it's a taboo industry. We wanted to flip on its head.
Yeah, and y'all are flipping it. I want to make sure you can see Stephanie. Can y'all see Stephanie? Okay, good. All right. So first of all, what is this? What is in front of me? We have these. This is one of my favorite colors, and this is my second favorite color, and this is my third. Even though it's the same. Why are these so important? And what is it? What is Personal Fave's products?
Personal Fave is a clean sexual wellness brand. So we make plant-based, better for you sexual wellness products. Our first, Dr. G's favorite color, is our water-based, plant-based sex serum. It mimics your body's natural lubrication made with aloe and natural aphrodisiacs in a black glass bottle with a pump. It's the fan favorite, but
Yeah.
I will say, we came to market first with this product, and at the same time, like, it really is just a different experience from a KY. A KY doesn't feel like a part of your body's natural situation, and the strong feedback we get is that it really works with you, not feel like a foreign body.
Amazing. And why? Okay, so let's say there's a young couple, and the let's say the lady goes, I don't have an issue. I can get very much so lubricated and excited.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception from all genders, because there's so much shame and stigma as it relates to our sexual health, that we have this mental trick that, like, we're fine because people think if you use this that you need it or something's wrong or something's broken.
Yeah.
Not the case. So 1 in 3 vulva owners requires a little third party, not necessarily to help lubricate, but it also, like Stephanie mentioned, there are natural aphrodisiacs in here. There is a pleasure gap. There is an orgasm gap in the world as it relates to women. So both of these products help you get to where you want to go. And for us, I know we were talking, this is a common theme, like stress, our nervous system, oxytocin. These to us are symbols that you have on your nightstand to trigger, like, I can prioritize my pleasure as a pillar of my wellness. Yes.
Now something like and I know I'm talking about KY a lot, but something like a KY doesn't have the aphrodisiacs.
Not they don't have aphrodisiacs, and whatever they have is super synthetic and scary.
Chemically based.
Yes. So we relied a lot on Eastern medicine and Eastern ingredients. Stephanie was wild with our chemists going through this formula, 16 different iterations before it came to market.
Ooh, well, that's what I like.
Yeah.
She went after it. She said, no, that's not good enough. No, that's not good enough. Like, I have such respect for that, actually. Now, okay, so the aphrodisiacs, is that bringing more blood to the area? And why is that important?
No, I mean, there's a couple different things. So in both formulations, there's horny goatweed, ginseng, as well as chamomile. So those act as, enhancements pulled from Eastern medicinal practices. And then in the oil base, we do have full spectrum CBD, which is a vasodilator, stimulating blood flow to the area. I will say that both have stimulating qualities, and we have heard anecdotally that this one actually helps with ED from a few of our customers.
Look up horny goatweed.
Horny goatweed. Shout out horny goatweed.
But this one for sure is a true vasodilator, and it's pretty incredible. I use it on sore muscles after the gym. I had a roommate.
Do you really?
Yes.
Okay.
I had
it on my stomach when I'm on my period.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a roommate putting it under her eyes to help with dark circles at one point.
Whoa, okay, multi-purpose.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So you're bringing more blood, soothing the area. Okay, so 1 in 3, you said?
1 in 3. vulva owners, and that is even larger when we're talking about the LGBTQ community, emphasis on the T. And so, but there's just not a lack of information out there because people are shying away from the topic. It's sort of a don't talk about it situation,
Yeah.
which we like being loud about intimacy.
For sure, of course. And we're making a shift because we met at the Dr. Emily Morse and our Sex with Emily
Yes.
event. So there was a lot of no shame talking about sex and sexuality.
Diffuse it.
And we were talking about on the couch how important the other day, how important connecting to your sexual energy without shame is for a relationship.
Yep.
And like, I can imagine if this is right here by the bed, we have a tool that is saying immediately, hey, this is our intimate space. And this is our tool for connection.
Completely.
And we know that you enjoy it, I enjoy it. And it's made of non-toxic stuff and organic, not yet the label, but organic, right?
Yeah.
Top.
Yes.
I love that.
And what I love about what you were saying, especially in that event, we had somatic breathing about, releasing and connecting at the same time and slowing down in our system as it relates to our sexual health with yourself or a partner. This one, talk about multi-purpose. I love using it as a foreplay tool as it relates to a massage. Like you don't have to intimacy doesn't necessarily mean immediate intercourse. It can be a foot massage, an arm massage with yourself or a partner. And I think looking at intimacy through many different lenses and sort of building up to what makes sense for you is super important, which is why we want to make sure that these are tools that empower you to do that.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching don't know, the canal within the vagina is so rich with blood vessels. It is so rich and it creates this level of absorption that is really, really crazy. It's like if you want to have something absorbed, put it there.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a mucous membrane. So we also took osmolality into account, which is whether or not the water goes through your cells. And also, I think that's something a lot of people don't realize is if you're using something that has endocrine disruptors or petrochemicals, it's being rapidly reabsorbed into your bloodstream. And, we have a lot of issues with fertility and the world today and other things. And I think we all need to take better account if we're changing everything from a topical standpoint, that what you're putting inside of yourself aside from what you're eating is duly important.
Duly important. And some of these chemicals will pee them out. But other ones, they go straight to our tissues. They build up in our system over time. So imagine the people out there who are using a synthetic base, not third-party tested lube, and then they're doing it every day or a few times a week for X amount of years. That builds up in the system. So we want to make sure, especially when we're in such vulnerable areas when it comes to blood flow and absorption, that we're up-leveling everything. And what's this here? What's going on here?
Yeah, this is our newest product. These are our play wipes for all kinds of play. They're just a pH matched, better for you wipe that's biodegradable and flushable, made with chamomile and aloe. These are amazing.
Something because we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we are the customer that is eager to learn more, especially about ingredients. And we outsource to the smart people and the experts. So while we were making this product, we're learning along the way. And maybe I live under a rock, but we use wipes to take off our makeup, for our babies, to wipe down surfaces. Most of those have microplastics in their ingredients. These are plastic-free wipes. I didn't realize that everything I was taking my makeup off with had plastic
We don't even think about it.
Well, I have to think about that.
Chemically based scents,
Yes,
Is this scented?
It has chamomile and aloe in it. Get this stuff.
Okay.
Wish we had smell-o-vision. It's 2025.
Yeah.
When did we get that?
I know.
It's nothing
That's
strong.
nice.
Yeah, but all of our products are parfum or fragrance free. This product does have Bulgarian rose extract, and as Hannah mentioned, the chamomile gives us a light scent, but we're very anti-parfum fragrance because of the chemical, concoction associated in all personal care products.
Pick up a personal care product you have at home, and if it says parfum/fragrance, that is a cocktail of unregulated ingredients.
Big problem.
Throw it out.
And my last question, what do people report the most when using this stuff? What are the benefits of using it?
Well, one thing, it's really fun, right? At the end, like, yes, we're talking about things that are sensitive and intimacy, but you can also be cheeky and silly when it comes to sex, like let loose and have fun, which we love. There's no such thing as TMI. The CBD product we talked about, peak, people have used it as a verb now that their boyfriend continues to ask if they can peak tonight, which I love. And people have coined it as cheaper than couples therapy, which we also love. To our bangin' boomers out there, because we love our menopause, post-menopause people that are prioritizing their pleasure, the real Bulgarian rose that Stephanie mentioned also is healing. So you're enhancing your pleasure, but after menopause, the uterine wall thins, and a lot of women don't speak up when intercourse is uncomfortable. Not an issue with this. It's
amazing
arousing
stuff.
and healing.
Arousing and healing. We got that's nature's intelligence
Yes.
and the intelligence of both of you coming all together. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining the show.
Appreciate
A big
you.
hug. Thank you for the work that you both do
Appreciate you.
and making a cleaner world.
Yes.
We'll say bye to Personal Fave, everyone. Thank you, thank you,
Bye.
thank you. And then you can find us on personalfave.co.
CO.
Personalfave.co.
Fave is FAV.
FAV. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm so that was not from them. That was my stash. I have a stash, and I went upstairs and I brought it back down. So that's my own personal stash. That's products I believe in. What we want to do is highlight brands that are making a proper difference in this world, small brands, on this show, so you know about what's out there and who to support. Right? There's brands out there that are just raising a ton of money and all this marketing and has a crappy product. We want to put ourselves out there on brands that we can support. Okay, so Emily, hi.
Yes.
What's
Hi.
up? I want to know. I'm still thinking about
Okay.
it. Are people dropping in the comments? I'm writing down my notes.
Oh, this is an interesting one I've never heard of. The Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Ooh.
Miles and miles of beaches to be naked and free.
What? So where is this now?
I know, we gotta know.
Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Tell us
All right.
about the Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Yeah, we need a. You know what we need? You know how Joe Rogan has like a computer and it goes up to like this. we need to have like right now the drop down Sleeping Bear Dunes. You know. So
I know. I want to see it.
I would love pictures right
yeah.
here. Like a little camera.
Oh,
We'll talk to
another
our-
Peru, which
Peru.
you've been to Peru, right?
Ecuador.
Ecuador.
Peru might be
You have not
another
been to
move.
Peru. Mm.
Yeah, they're kind of the same. Andes Mountains, they look the same. They're not much different. They fought over borders, so it's the same thing.
So maybe at some point you were in Peru. if things
maybe
moved
at some
around a bit.
point, if I
Yeah.
walked too much past Ecuador, I was like in Peru
Yeah.
or near the border. Okay, so I want to talk about something. Do you think plants? Do you think plants actually like know that we're there with our presence?
1,000%. I'm thinking of, and you'll have to tell everyone about the conversation that we had before this. But I swear, like when you're young and you're in science class and you do like those really silly experiments. I don't even remember what mine was, but I remember seeing, I think somewhere actually online, I don't think that this was like a kid that I went to school with, or so I don't think it was a personal experience, but that someone did a test of like playing different kinds of music and talking to plants. And there was like a drastic change. Like certain plants died based on either, or it might have even been, I'm going to need to look this up and we would put that on the screen if we had it. But I think he was like saying mean things to the plants and they died.
No.
And then playing nice music and like giving affirmations and the plants were thriving.
There's a video floating out there that my ex-girlfriend took of me singing to my plant at like 7 a.m. So I believe it.
Christian asked me if when he's out of town, I'd come by and not water his plants, but talk to them.
That's it. So here's why. And we say this in a room with a bunch of plants. This is my plant kind of room.
That aren't doing very well right now.
Yeah.
There are some leaves on the ground.
There's some leaves on the ground. So basically, I water on average every 10 days these plants, especially now. I have a history of overwatering plants. A lot of you out there know what I'm talking about. You're just overloving. You're just like, oh, you need more water.
Yeah.
And then you're just dumping a whole thing. And then it's like, oh. So I water it every 10 days. So I timed it so before I went to Miami, I was going to be gone for 10 days, that I'm just going to water it the day before I go or the morning of. I did it the morning of.
Mhm.
And I come back 10 days later and there's just leaves on the floor. And a lot of them are browning. And I go to my girlfriend, I go, hey, I don't get it. You know, if I'm here and I water it every 10 days, everything's fine. If I leave and I water it and it's still 10 days, I always come home, always, without fail when I travel, I always come home to one or multiple of my plants not doing that well.
And the only difference is that you're not here with energy in your home.
That's it.
Yeah, I think it's an energetic thing. I think it's not necessarily like the words that you're saying to them, but it's the energy that you're giving off in like giving them affirmations or just, and so that's why, you know, you're not necessarily going around here talking to all of your plants, but you're here with your energy and it's and it's giving them life.
I 100% agree. When I was in Connecticut, I was on Instagram and I saw this reel of this Mexican lady walking through a garden, and there was this taller like plant and then smaller ones, and she's speaking in Spanish. She goes, "There's my favorite plant," and it said, "Watch closely," and she's still speaking to it, and then like there's no wind, and then the plant just starts going like this, and I was like, "What?" And then like she goes closer and she goes, "Look, there's no like rat here moving it or anything," and it was just so happy to see her.
It's like my dog wagging its tail.
Wagging its tail.
Like,
plants get excited with our presence, and like there is a documentary, or you can definitely see it on YouTube. Maybe it's called The Secret Life of Plants, where they ran studies with plants, and plants would know when it's in danger from afar. They put plants in 2 separate rooms, and they can talk to each other from 2 separate rooms. So plants have this like, they're tuned into this quantum where they're communicating via this field. Maybe it's chemical signals, but they have this energetic communication with each other too, without the mycelium, because there's no mycelium coming down into the, you know.
Well, and even, I mean, you think about certain vegetables that we eat that come from plants that have a defense mechanism, you know, like these cruciferous vegetables that are like more difficult on our guts. Isn't that because of like their defense mechanism?
Ooh, okay. So that brings on the topic of oxalates and anti-nutrients.
Like, is that associated with them not wanting to be eaten?
Well, look, this is crazy conversation, because then it's like, for the people who only eat plants, well, you're murderers too, right? Like, it's really a topic of ethics, right? And I used to be vegan, and it was really hard for me to not be vegan, like really hard. And sometimes it's still hard. But now, and when I was vegan, I didn't even want to think that like plants were conscious to that level. And they don't have a nervous system, so they're not necessarily feeling pain, but I do think they communicate with each other. And so like plant defense chemicals, they're not necessary, they're defense chemicals against things not human, like mice or smaller things where they would be averse to it. The thing about is we have the body weight, we have the capacity and ability to break this down, and ironically, a lot of the research shows that a lot of these anti-nutrients, like lectins, have anti-cancer properties. So I always tell people, like, if you're sensitive, like I with all that said, I can't eat cruciferous vegetables. If I eat raw cruciferous vegetables, it's a wrap. For the rest of the week, I'm a mess.
It's dangerous for everyone.
It's dangerous. So you might, there's some things you might want to soak, for sure. If soaking is going to be able to help some of the things, like certain beans, for example.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Is these different interventions to the same food? Like, I remember you had that video that went pretty viral about freezing bread. And that it's interesting that it's the same food, but by freezing it, it's changing the structure. And so the same thing with, like, you know, you're supposed to soak rice, or if you have sprouted beans instead of, like, I do better with sprouted hummus instead of just regular hummus. Yeah.
I always sprouted beans, even like almonds. I don't eat nuts really. Because if I eat walnuts, almonds, anything, pistachios without it being sprouted, it hurts my stomach immediately.
And the sprouted ones are like delicious.
They're a lot
If you
better.
get sprouted
They're
nuts from the
expensive.
farmer's market, they're expensive,
They're a lot better.
but they're delicious.
Well, then, we went out to eat in Connecticut, my girlfriend and her family. And I didn't want to be that guy that I usually am, where I'm like, well, where does this come from? And, like, do you know that guy? Like, oh, well, I don't drink.
Yeah.
Maybe once a year I'll have a drink. And I was with her dad and her mom and my girlfriend, and we were on a small table. And I said to myself in this moment, okay, this seems appropriate, an appropriate time. And I'm against drinking in a sense of like how people drink and not knowing what it does to the body, especially the brain. But I'm still open, like,
yeah,
if there's something that is,
I feel like we've kind of explored this a lot. If you're, connecting with yourself and you're making a conscious decision, it's not habitual, it's not, escaping something, it's not numbing something. You're checking in with yourself and you're making the conscious decision that like this might elevate my experience. It'll allow me to connect with these people and maybe the stress reduction that it has from me like not choosing not to when I really want to is actually better than the negative stress that the drink is causing me.
Well, I did a little experiment. So
you had one glass of wine and you were wasted.
I had three because their dad was like, let's get another bottle. I was like, all right, let's do it,
You're like, check in with yourself
yeah,
one more time. Okay,
myself.
yeah.
and I see my girlfriend, she's like, oh, okay. So I had a nice little buzz. I'm like, oh, I remember this feeling, and then I got so tired, almost nonverbal at the end. You know how people kind of like go like this over a while? I went, and I was like, wow, that was not good. But the experiment revealed something very interesting. I ordered food and I didn't even look to see if it was gluten-free. And I don't mess with gluten. But interestingly enough, I didn't have any gluten symptoms and I had gluten food.
Wow. It's to the conversation we had a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
That, what was it, thinking yourself fat? It's like if, what is the psychosomatic element of thinking and believing with your whole being that you're gluten intolerant? You eat gluten, you're telling yourself this is poison, your body's like this is poison and it's rejecting it. And so you're going to have the symptoms of intolerance as opposed to you didn't even think about it. You didn't know.
I didn't think about it. I think I was buzzed, so I forgot that I kind of overlooked it. But then why I had no symptoms. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Like my gut's fine. It's the same, which is a really important piece to this work in medicine is what's our psychosomatic connection to everything, including food.
Yeah. I think about that pretty frequently, that we're constantly, I think, compared to the general population, hyper aware of things that are harming us, things that are toxic. Like you just shared about chomps,
I did.
I do think that ignorance isn't bliss and we do need to be aware and we do need to be informed, but I think we need to be conscious of the stress that it causes on us.
Big time. Big time. I'll tell you this, and I don't know if this is a function of just me being younger and more robust and easier to detoxify and less of a toxic burden, or if when I had ignorance, I just felt better because I didn't really think about anything. Now, is that problematic or the right way to do it now? Because like over time, things are going to build up in your system and then you're like, oh, where'd this come from, With that said, I think that we've gone too much. I've been guilty of it years ago, gone too much where everything is trying to kill you, everything. And I was going to move out of this house because I had some mold symptoms when I came. And I was like, oh my God, I have to throw everything away, including this new couch that finally came. And then I just surrendered. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to relate. I'm not going to talk about mold. It's coming out of my consciousness. I feel better. Like, that's crazy because that's my experience with mold. But imagine someone else's experience with like BPA or, like heavy metals. All of it matters. You can't avoid it fully. But like if you make decisions, like we were talking about Personal Fave, like you choose to get the quality stuff.
Absolutely.
But, you know, like you're going to go outside, you're going to breathe that air
Yeah.
inevitably. And we live in LA. So how can we just have a better relationship? And remember, the last thing I'll say about this is that my friend went to this like spiritual journey, and he met this guy who lives in, I believe, Sweden or Switzerland. And they have a really big group of quantum scientists. That's like the concentration of where all these quantum scientists live. And they study all the things that have to do with reality and manifestation, or, you know, energy to matter.
Wow.
And what they found, the guy goes, the number one thing is this: it's your relationship. What is your relationship to the thing that you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's your relationship to the cigarette? Not to say go smoke,
Yeah.
because there's thousands of carcinogens in there that will inevitably cause issues, but also
Yeah.
what's your relationship to it? And it really got me thinking. So I'm trying to rethink this relationship to gluten, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be having a nice piece of Italian bread sometime soon. We'll see, we'll see. How the comments looking?
Speaking of Italian bread, let's see if we have any more recommendations.
Maybe one
of
from Italy,
places.
Sardinia.
Oh, so Sleeping Bear Dunes is in Michigan.
Whoa,
back to
I know what I'm
Michigan.
looking up after this call.
And
After
then
this,
we actually have a comment related to the plants. So I bought from Greenie K, I bought a straight up dying fiddle leaf a few years ago, took it home, talked kind to it, nurtured it, and it's absolutely thriving.
Oh my God, no way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to go back to talking to each one of my plants. It only took a few minutes. I said,
Yeah.
hello, I love you. Good morning, I love, hello, I love you, and I love you too. And all of my plants were thriving back then. I never had a problem with my plants.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything, reaction videos.
Mm-hmm.
I almost forgot about that. Let's look at what.
Should we do one?
Let's do one. Okay, there's two here. Oh, there's two with two titles: Men Being Babied and Life and Pain. I think I'm gonna go with the Men Being Babied one. Okay, so let's
Those
open this
titles
up.
were by me.
Oh, this is a post from me.
Yeah.
How
I wanted you to talk about it.
How I expect my wife to treat me when I have a slight cold. I love it. I love when she's. I'm gonna watch this. Oh my goodness. Okay. So here's my. I love that post. First of all, I saw it and I go, I'm just gonna repost this, and it went crazy comment viral. People were like, "Oh my God, this is my husband.
I know.
Oh my God, my boyfriend does this." He, you know, like they want to be all tough, and then when they're sick, like, Brady, I love you. Does he do this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Literally, I'm watching that, and I'm like, not to out Brady because he's probably watching. He's one of our biggest fans.
Yeah.
But 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be laying on the couch and I'll be like, "Oh, can you get me some water?"
And I think an element of it could be actually that you spend so much of this time in that masculine that you finally get an excuse to be like, I get to just
surrender,
be a baby and surrender and
well,
be taken care of.
My caption on that, and I had a theory, was that we are so contracted in being this version of ourselves, much like you said, that we kind of, when we have to be overwhelmed with something and we don't have control over it, we go back to the memory of what got us love, and we can be in that vulnerability, like you said.
Yeah.
We go into this moment of like, when we were children, we were vulnerable, we can let go, we had no other worries in the world, we can actually fully embody the being sick, and we can also get love from it and attention and care. Now, is that a bad thing? Look, like, what a gift it is to have a partner who will show up for you and love you, and maybe not be so dramatic about it, right? Like if you're sick, but not on your deathbed, you know? Maybe you don't need to be rocked like this, you know?
Versus I feel like myself and a lot of women that I know, like, we're sometimes dealing with some crazy sicknesses and we're like
going
just
through it.
Still just, living life, running errands.
Running
doing
errands,
work.
going on jogs, like period pains to the roof, doing sit-ups, like it's crazy.
And I wonder if that's because just generally at some point we were told like, oh, you're being a baby, you're just like being a girl, like man up kind of thing. And so we start to learn, oh, I need to push through. I need to be more in my masculine, and I need to like overcome these, like, you know, it's not okay to be a girl who's feeling her period cramps.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah.
women just have better pain tolerance. You ever seen those videos where they have the electrodes on the men and the women?
No, the ones where they like give them the shocks as if, and so it feels like period cramps, and guys like faint.
Yeah, no, she's not lying. Like men will be like, oh my God, folded over in pain, just from period pains. And then if you watch the giving birth one, like the pain of like giving birth, this man was trying to tough it out and he broke down. He started screaming because he was in so much pain.
Yeah, which I mean, like, women are built to give birth, you know, that their bodies can withstand this crazy amount of pain.
Yeah.
And obviously now, like with Western medicine, there are a lot of interventions, but like there are plenty of people out there who are doing it completely naturally and just enduring the pain. And I was actually talking to a friend recently who said that there's someone, I don't remember who it was, but who was very public about her natural birth story. And she said it was obviously really painful, but when she actually like tuned into it, it was really beautiful and like spiritual, and kind of, she was sent into like the deepest meditation that she's ever been in by actually, instead of trying to like run away from the pain,
leaning into it. My girlfriend has 3 siblings, so her mom gave birth to 4 children.
Wow.
And we were talking about each one and the differences. Like,
where is Claire?
She's number 3.
Okay.
She was actually totally like reversed.
Wow.
She was the wrong way.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, your daughter is the wrong way. We're going to flip her. And she's like, okay. But she didn't know what that meant. And she said it was like tough to really flip.
Gosh.
Another one came out as a C-section. And another one, the last one just came out. He just floated out. He's like, you know, surfing out.
He's like,
he was ready to go.
My brothers and sisters paved the way.
But in this conversation, I was talking to her dad, and he said, you know, don't people give birth in water? So we talked a little bit about like natural births. And then we got on the topic of dolphin births. Not legal here. And supposedly, I have to do the research behind this, that women who give birth to babies around dolphins, the children are super high IQ. They almost always end up being really, really smart and emotionally like in tune and sensitive.
Well, because aren't dolphins like one of the most, there's like a lot of facts about dolphins. I think that one is the only other mammal that are also gay, that there are gay dolphins. But then I also think like their emotional IQ is super really, high. Really high.
Yeah. So I don't know the mechanism. It might be, I think they said it was like a dolphin sound sonar thing into the nervous system of the child. But like dolphins know, I know this is crazy, but like dolphins will like circle this birth and they'll do like a dolphin ritual for the baby. And the baby ends up being like a savant and going to like Ivy League schools and changing everything. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. How do you hire a dolphin as your doula? It's a dolphin doula.
And how can I run dolphin doulas online? Let's do a black market business where we do dolphin. We get a dolphin doula. That's amazing. Listen, on that note, it's time. It is now hitting 1 o'clock on the Pacific time. We are so happy to have your presence, your attention. I mean, that's the biggest resource nowadays.
I think the plants in here are going to be thriving after this show. Everyone's presence, everyone's love.
Everyone's love, including yours. Next Tuesday, we are finally having call-ins. So we're going to be able to hear your, I know I say every show, but this is much more technical than we thought. But thank you so much.